Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us on Ask a Priest. My name is Sunil Chandy. This is a ministry out of Christ Episcopal Church. And again, thank you for being with us in this program. Today, a question comes out to us, and it is a question that's important for us Episcopalians. What is Holy Eucharist? This is an important question because Holy Eucharist is, as Episcopalians, something that we engage in weekly. It allows us to be strengthened and nurtured in God's Spirit and in prayer as we take in this body and blood of Christ. Holy Eucharist can be known in many other ways too. It could be known from the Catholic point of view as the Holy Mass. It could be also seen as Holy Communion. Recognizing that we have a community that communes or participates together and is unified with God and with each other in this very act, this holy act. But this question, what is Holy Eucharist, is maybe best defined by how we look at it through our catechism. In the Episcopal Church, we have the Book of Common Prayer, a catechism that is a part of our Book of Common Prayer. It begins on page 845 in the Book of Common Prayer. But on 859, it asks the same question: what is Holy Eucharist? And in the Catechism, Holy Eucharist is defined as it is the sacrament commended by Christ for the continual remembrance of his life, death, and resurrection until his coming again. Why is it called a sacrifice? Because Eucharist, the Church's sacrifice of praise and thanksgiving, is the way by which the sacrifice of Christ is made present and in which he unites us to his one offering of himself. It's also known, in other words, like I said before, as Holy Communion, the Lord's Supper. It's also known as the Divine Liturgy. It's also known as the Mass, or the Great Offering. And so, in this sacrament, it's an outward and visible sign of an inward and spiritual grace. We remember in these prayers, as the priest engages in prayer, he or she invokes God's Holy Spirit upon this prayer, this community, and also upon the body and blood of Christ, or bread and wine that's set apart. And it becomes symbolically and by faith, and depending on where you are in the Episcopal Church and how you believe, it becomes a very real presence of God's body and blood in the elements of that bread and wine. And then as we remember Jesus's Last Supper, parts of that Eucharistic prayer remind us of that experience of Jesus's final time with his disciples, offering this sacrament as a real and visible symbol of his presence in our life. He says, he takes this bread and he says, "This is my body," and he takes this wine and says, "This is my blood." And as you take it in, you become a part of me and I become a part of you. It becomes our covenantal experience as a community. When I do communion, I'm often remembering that in this very act, it becomes there's a sense that it moves past time and space. I know that generations of people have prayed these same prayers and have taken this body and blood and have found themselves strengthened in faith to become God's people in the world. And so it spans over 2,000 years. Even in the experience of it, I often remind myself I have the ancestors of faith, my ancestors of faith, gathered around in this timeless act. I imagine in my mind that my father is there, and my grandfather, and then bishops and clergy people and lay people, all of who have been nurtured in faith with this very act. And so when I take in that body and blood, I'm in communion with them, with the saints in the past and saints yet to come. Those Christians that are yet to be formed and nurtured by this very body and blood. And so I think it's an important part of my faith life, and then it encourages me to go out and live as Christ's body and blood out in the world, doing good, helping connect people to God and also to each other in kindness and hope and in joy, helping the world become a better place. I hope this answers this question for you. And of course, if you have any further questions, you could please put your questions in the chat or in the comment section, and we'll try to answer them. My hope is that you do find yourself encouraged in faith to live life boldly and with joy and purpose in the world. God bless you.
Thanks for watching. Did you know that you can join Christ Church from anywhere in the world? If you're feeling connected to what we're doing, email us today at communicate@christchurchwesterly.org.